Hi guys, so today I would like to talk about what it's like to live in the Japanese countryside. Now, a lot of people who decide to come to Japan and move here, a lot of them decide to live in this in the city, like Tokyo or Osaka or Kyoto or Kobe, places like that, or they choose to live within the outskirts of the city, right? Where they can easily access the city through a train or a bus or whatever. But then there's another side where you may want to live in the countryside as opposed to the city, which is what I decided to do when I came to Japan. I did not want to live in a city, I wanted to live in the countryside. And I can't speak for what it's like in the city, but what I am going to speak about is what it's like in the real countryside of Japan, right? Surrounded by rice fields and mountainous regions and rivers all over the place. So, um, the summers are really, really, really humid. Um, they're more so humid in the countryside rather than in the city because in the city, um, you kind of have tall buildings to shade you from the sun, right? From the rays of the sun, and you have air conditioned places that you can go inside, like a lot of convenience stores. You may go inside and they may have air conditioning. But in the countryside, there's very few amenities. You are completely exposed to the rays of the sun and the heat. And if you're in a valley in the countryside, then it's even hotter, right? So it's really humid, and some people like it, some people don't. It's just a matter of adjusting to it. But with humidity also comes the bugs, right, in the countryside. So you're gonna have to deal with a lot of spiders, especially if you live in an apartment complex like I do. I live on the third floor. So as I go up the stairs, almost every single day, I have to watch out for spiders, and spider webs all around me. I have to kind of like dodge like this to my way up and on my way down. And sometimes in the apartment, you may get cockroaches. You may get stink bugs. You may get crickets. You may even get snakes. I've heard stories of people living in apartments where snakes have entered their building. So you will have to, eventually you're just gonna have to get used to it and take the right precautions and stuff, like have a spray ready, or um, when it comes to stink bugs, they get attracted to the smell, right? So if you kill a stink bug, it releases like a smell, and more stink bugs start coming. So in order to get rid of the stink bugs properly, there is a spray that you can use, or what I've learned from Japanese people is that they take tape and they tape the stink bug, right? Tape it up and fold it like this, and they just throw it in the garbage. So that's a safe way to do it. Um, and recently, this year, we have experienced a lot of stink bugs in the countryside. I don't know what the city is like, but in the countryside, we experienced an influx of stink bugs, green ones and brown ones, and big ones and stuff. So yeah, you will have to deal with a lot of insects, bugs, and in the countryside, obviously there is other animals out there, so you may be able to spot boars in the forest, or even on the near the streets, or near in the rice fields. You're gonna see a lot of deer at night. So when you're driving, you have to be very careful of the deer. There is a potential of seeing an Asian black bear, right? I've never seen one. I've only seen deer, and also foxes. You're gonna see foxes in the countryside as well. Um, so yeah, yeah, you're gonna see a lot of animals in the countryside. So you're gonna have to deal with that. If you like animals, that's great. You will really enjoy it, the experience. Also, living in the countryside, you don't have a lot of facilities, right? So you may have maybe just one convenience store, which is like 10 minutes away from where you are. So, you're gonna have to, if you want to get food or something, or, some convenience stores. Most convenience stores in Japan are 24 hours, but there are some that actually close at like a certain time and open up at a certain time. So you got to make sure that you know the timings and stuff for that, right? But in the countryside, you also have the opportunity of eating the local food that's there, and the food will be locally grown. So I live in Toyoka in Hyogo-ken, right? Hyogo Prefecture, and Hyogo is known for their Tajima beef. Their beef is really good here. It's locally processed, locally grown here, as well as rice. So we have the konatori rice, and we have that in the school lunches, right? And it's really good, really nutritious, really healthy, and throughout the season. So like at a certain time, you may have like go to the local market, and there'll be like strawberries, big strawberries, or you may have mangoes and watermelons and radishes, right? Different vegetables and fruits that will only be available for a certain period of time, during the season. So you have that opportunity to go and grab all those things and take them home and have a nice, delicious meal. And so yeah, that's like, I would say, a pro of living in the countryside, is that you have the opportunity to try out all the delicious local food. And I would say that in the countryside, life is a lot slower. Whereas in the city, you're rushing to get to the platform to get on the train, right? And you may be like hundreds and hundreds of people, and you might have to be like squeezed in and stuff like that. But over here, in the countryside, you don't really deal with that type of crowds, right? Those types of crowds, and it's quite nice because you don't feel too stressed, you don't feel too rushed, and yeah, it's a very slow-paced lifestyle. And as you're driving in the countryside, or even if you're walking outside, and you notice the rice fields around you and the people working on the rice fields and working on their garden, it's such a beautiful sight to see because they put so much attention to detail and so much focus into what they're doing, and the maintenance that they put into their garden and the rice fields and stuff. It's absolutely amazing to see, and it kind of motivates you in a sense that, okay, like, wow, like there's like oji-sans and oba-sans, right? Like really old, like people that are just like working really hard at such an old age, right? And that like motivates you, that like, oh wow, like I need to push myself as well. I need to also work hard. Like I feel inspired now, right? And it's just really amazing to see that. And also like the cleanliness as well, right? It's amazing in the countryside. Obviously, since there's not a lot of people, obviously there's not a lot of garbage that you see out on the streets and in the parks and stuff like that compared to other places. And in Japan in general is very clean, right? You will rarely see like a pile of trash just like on the corner of a street or something in an alleyway. But in countryside, it's like practically like you practically won't see it, right? In rare cases, right? In very rare cases you may, but it's like extremely rare, and it's really nice to see that. And I really love the community vibe in a countryside because every like village or like every like little like block has a very tight knit community, and they have like community gatherings where in the mornings they come together and they clean up the streets and stuff. If they see like even like a cup or something, they'll pick it up and throw it in the trash. They have these like weekly or monthly events where they come together, and it's really nice that they that they have this community. and they keep an eye out for each other. They take care of each other, and it's really nice to be part of that and experience that. And also, when you live in the countryside, you will have access to you know a lot of opportunities to make friends, like lifelong friends. Because in the countryside, people are very are laid back. They're more inclined to talk to you, whereas in the city, people are just in a rush. But in the countryside, it's different. You can go for a walk and you see somebody on the side, and you know you can just talk to them, right? And try to have a conversation with them. And if you can speak decent enough Japanese, that's a plus. But even if you know a few words, it's really nice that that you can say something to them, and they'll remember you, and you may see them again, and you can have another conversation with them again, but it was short or long conversation. And it's really nice. It's really nice that that's available, for you. And oh yeah, in the countryside too. Going back to the weather, um, in the winters, you may get a lot of snow, right? You may get quite cold and stuff. So just be ready to shovel all that snow. um, but as I said, everyone helps each other out, and it's such a good feeling, right? It's such a good feeling that everyone is so helpful. I'll give you an example. It was last year. We had a pretty bad snowstorm in the countryside of Japan, and the windows of my car was covered in ice, right? Covered in ice. And my neighbor saw that I was struggling to scrape the ice off. So my neighbor went inside his apartment, took out a jug of hot water, and just asked me do you want me to throw it on your car? So I was like, oh yeah, sure. He just threw the hot water on the window of my car, and instantly the ice just disappeared, melted. And I was so happy, I was so grateful. I'm like, wow, thank you for that. I didn't even ask you to do that, but you just decided to do it anyways, right? So that because it's really nice. It's really nice. And when you live in the countryside, it's also important to get involved in the community. Join a sports team like a kendo, which is Japanese fencing team, or a karate, or swimming, or some volunteer group or something. Because in most countryside areas, there is some sort of association that you can join, right? And that will open up doors. That will open up a lot of doors for you, right? It'll build a lot of great relationships with the Japanese people, and it's a really great opportunity. But in the countryside, you really got to take that initiative to go out and talk to people, because they will not do it. They most of the time they will not go out of their way to talk to you first. You have to make that initiation, and even if it's just a tiny, even if you just initiate the conversation just a little bit, if you just dip your toes in the water just a little bit, they will be so grateful for that. They'll be so happy that, wow, this person talked to me, it feels good, and it does feel good, right? And you pretty much broke that bubble. You broke that barrier. You really broke that barrier once you just initiate that conversation. And there's a certain magic and a certain beauty of living in the countryside of Japan that really I can't really explain so much in words unless you actually live in the countryside. And I recommend anyone to at least try living in the countryside in Japan, even if it's for a month, even if it's for 2 weeks. If you want to do a host family thing, you want to stay at someone's house for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks and help them out. And in exchange, you have a place to stay. It's a great opportunity, a very unique opportunity for you to connect with the Japanese culture and the Japanese people. Yeah, it's really great. It's really great. And I hope that you will come to Japan and even just visit the countryside, right? You will not regret it at all. It is a completely, it has a completely separate magic and a completely separate like ambiance and beauty compared to like being in a city of Japan. It's different. It's definitely different. I feel the difference. I can sense the difference. When I go into like a city in Japan, when I go into Kobe or Tokyo or Osaka, the vibes are just it's a little different. It's different. It's still a very you still get a very like peaceful aura, but it's still like you just feel like it's just everything just feels rushed because of this of the traffic, the amount of cars that you see, and everyone's just like on the go. But in the countryside, everything's just like slowed down, and you can take the time to like appreciate every moment that you're here. Anyways, thank you for listening to this very long video. See you in the next one.